Say, for instance, I'm released, if I'm ever released or whatever, to say that, okay, I got all this now. Now, once I go, I practice certain things every day in my life as far as certain morals and scruples, and I don't squander my time in a sense of just sitting around playing dominoes. And if I play dominoes, it's because there's somebody there that I want to talk to, and I'm working with him. If I play checkers or if I shoot basketball, it's because somebody in that vicinity that I want to witness to, that I want to work with. And a lot of times they don't hear you until you get right there with them. And that's one of the problems that I've seen with a lot of other guys that profess to be walking in Christ's footsteps and not keeping it real, because Christ, all of the people that Christ went to was, it's just like the scripture said, can any good thing come out of Nazareth? And they was basically saying that place, that thuggish, slummish place, how is it that something good can come from that? Well, it's like that with the prison. I feel like a lot of good things can come out of prison if we just take the time to make available for a lot of these people the things that are needed to reform their life, and for them to take it serious and choose to use this in their life. And that's what I call myself doing every day. I try to use what's before me, and the things that are not there, I try to reach beyond that and get those. I've written a book entitled Above the Chains. I've written several plays. I write gospel music. I do a lot of things in the sense of saying helping guys write letters home, and all this is because of the love that Christ has placed in my heart. I really wouldn't have cared if they had gotten mail from home, because my life was like that. For years I went without mail. For years I went without visits. For years I went without phone calls. So at that particular point, I had to look at that. After Christ came into my life, I had to look at that and really start backing up over my life and doing some things to make not only myself better, but my surrounding with the people I'm around. One of the things I started doing at the suggestion of Chaplain Browder was, after I graduated from college and got my associate degree, I started tutoring reading classes for a lot of the people who were in church and couldn't read their Bibles because they just missed out on education when they were coming up. And they wanted to learn, but nobody was there to teach them, nobody was there to help them. So we started a tutoring class in the chapel from 7 to 8:30 on Tuesday nights and Thursday nights for the guys who wanted to come out. And I assembled a crew of fellows to work with me out of the institution. And we went out there and we used to have our different classes, teaching all the way from ABCs on up to GED prep. And at one particular point, there was this guy who needed his GED before he got out. He was about to get out, and he didn't have time to be enrolled into the official GED program of the institution. And so I volunteered to tutor him so that he would be ready to take the GED test at the time that the rest of the students over at the school would take the test. And lo and behold, he was the only man that passed the GED test when they gave the test. And we had a big celebration in the chapel, a big commencement ceremony for one man, and we just rejoiced and we were happy. But after that, all of the law box people started coming around, giving us pencils and paper and books to work with, and they wanted to get involved. And people from different surrounding schools and churches started contributing chalk and other material that we needed to keep the class going, because they was overjoyed at what we were doing. We got exposure on WSFA television news, and everybody wanted to know how is it that some inmates can teach one another better than teachers being paid to teach can teach the guy. Because all those guys that were being taught by the instructors over there, they had failed the GED, and there was a big scandal behind that, you know, and I kind of bagged up because I didn't want to make those kind of waves, but I just wanted to help. But eventually, the each one teach one style of GED classes eventually worked their way into the system, and you have now all over the state of Alabama institutions where they have it set up where inmates tutor other inmates in their reading. And we basically started that in the church up on the Chaplain Curtis Browder a few years back. And after that, I started just trying to be more positive, getting involved in positive things. But all the while I'm doing this, I'm looking around at the people I'm living around, and I knew that it was no good to talk positive, speak of a lot of positive stuff, and not to be living that way. So I used to strive to be involved in all the programs, be involved and try to get as much knowledge as I possibly could about myself, about the things, my shortcomings as far as character defect. I used to have a very bad temper, I would snap just like that. And one of those, I guess you might say, one of those situations where a man could just accidentally brush up against me would cause me to want to just explode like a atomic bomb, or somebody say anything that looked like it's challenging who I am or the reputation that I done built for myself. Then, that was a fight. So I had to work on it. I asked God to cleanse me of all of that because I didn't want to live like that anymore. And like I said, over the years, I've taught as a counselor aide in the substance abuse program, Ms. Laura Murder. I taught with her for about 5 years, teaching in the precept, dealing with a lot of young guys and their drug problems and explaining to them how you had to add certain things up as it relates to your life. You can be an addict spending, you can have, if you just said you spend $700 a week on your habit. Well, after a while, for a month, that costs so much, and as you multiply that by a year, that costs so much. And once you get to adding up how many years you've been strung out on drugs and all that, you'll realize how much money you throw away with you could have been providing for your family and providing for your children. And I used to try to make them realize that thinking like that, it all starts from your thinking and the choices that you make. And I don't really see myself in an edified, glorified light like a lot of other people see me, and I don't strive for that. All I strive for is what we basically call keeping it real. I know I got to do certain things for me because I'm really, like I said earlier, I'm trying to build up my treasures in heaven. I'm trying to make heaven my home. I don't really count the people that I did. A lot of times people tell me good things that I've done for them that I don't even remember because God has showed me how to do and to let it go. I don't do things good for people with strings attached to it, looking for something back and all that. I just try to share what I have and keep on moving to the next man as life brings it to me. And over the years, I've built a lot of friends. I've helped a lot of people out. And like I said, there's a lot of young guys who come through the system who have now begun to see a lot of things that I've explained to them about life in the system and what you got to do to better yourself. I truly believe in taking advantage of everything that we are offered here inside the system as far as saying modifying, rebuilding, as far as saying rectifying a lot of the things that were wrong inside of us, dealing like character defects, doing inventories and really applying that stuff, not just using it as lip service, because a lot of us, I notice a lot of us around here, we quote scriptures, and they real bad about that sometimes, quoting scriptures, but when it comes down to actually walking it, something is missing, and I've always had a problem with that, and I never wanted to be that way. So I really don't quote scriptures. I just do what I got to do and show the kind of love that I know I'm supposed to show to my brother man, because I know that this is what God has put in my heart for me to do. And like I said, I really want to be all that I can be now, because I'm not looking in the carnal sense, in the physical realm, as far as saying, oh, get me out of prison, get me out of prison, let me go, let me go. True enough, I'm a man. I came to prison a little boy. I was messed up. I was deranged in a lot of ways, following this crowd, messing with these drugs. But over the years, God has touched my life. He sent a circle of support into my life that grows stronger each and every day with the people who are God-fearing, with people who have wisdom, knowledge, and understanding in His way and have imparted that to me. And being 42 years old now, being here 25, naturally, I want to do some of the things on the outside that a free man would do with his family. I've never really had a family. God gave that to me. I've never really experienced life as a husband or as a son, running errands for my dad or running errands for my mom, because I never really had a mom or a dad until I met them. And I know that all this came about by way of God's hand, by way of Him showing me love. And not only has He shown me love through them, but He's shown me love in the things that He allowed me to see about myself. And I appreciate that, because if I wouldn't have seen it, if He wouldn't allow me to see it, I wouldn't have had it in me to go to the classes that I need to go to make further discoveries about the things that I need to work on about me, so as to I will be compatible for society. And like I said, I went through all the programs, and I want to be compatible for society because I want to live in society. I want to make contributions. I want to put something back. I don't want to be a part of the problem anymore. I want to be a part of the solution, and I know that with God's help, I can be that. And like I said, though, the number one thing is to build my treasures up in heaven. That's why I do what I do while I'm here, because who knows when our Lord and Savior is coming back. I can't be waiting on saying whenever the gates swing open and say, Lord, well, you know, I was going to do this when you let me out of here, but he come back before that. Then, you know, that's what I'm looking at, eternity. My soul is at stake. And I've learned that through the people of United Prison Ministry, through Brother Bland, Sister Lowe Miller, Brother Phelps, and you, Brother Dan. You know, the influence and the impact that you had on my life, I can't even put in words. And God knows my heart. That's the number one thing. And what I really want to be known and understood is that remorse, chagrin, the shame of being a part of all that stuff when I knew that I had a promising future, I had a mind. But straying away and causing the hurt and the pain that I caused, I'm so sorry for that. And that's something that I know that I'll never be a part of again. That's why I have worked as hard as I have worked inside to make sure that none of that stuff, even the devil don't even have them kind of hopes on me anymore. I don't want that. I don't want to be a part of that. I don't want to be around it. I don't even talk with people who discuss that kind of stuff. I'm away from that totally. It's just like the scripture said about the light, the lamp of the body is the eye. And when you have a good healthy eye, the light is on in your body. And when you have that darkness in your eye, then those are the things that your body show. Well, the Lord has taken that darkness out of me, and he's allowed me to see a different style of light. I see the kind of light now where it's not reflected by this person or that, but I see his light through Jesus Christ. And that's the light that I try to walk in as much as it's given to me. I can't say about what I haven't learned yet or things I haven't, because I've been here 25 years, a lot of things I don't know. And I have no idea, but as I have received what I have received, that's what I try to practice, and that's what I try to stick to, and that's what I promise each and every individual that's a part of my life that I'm going to always do, because the love that you've shown me, I ain't going to let you down. I don't care where I'm at. I ain't going to let you down. Thank you.
I've often talked to peers about the fact that we are here on a day-to-day basis with inmates. We see every little thing that occurs where these inmates are concerned, the changes that occur in their lives. We don't sit on the parole board or what have you, but I think that as far as being able to determine when a genuine change has occurred within an inmate, you only need to go to those people who are around this inmate on a day-to-day basis every day.
But I met him at a time that he was striving, you know, toward God. He was striving, trying to help inmates, you know, do the right thing. And at that time, I was young, and, you know, he strived me toward doing the right thing. He, you know, participated in plays. You know, he just gave me that inspiration, that drive. You know, he would give me something that, you know, a big brother would give to, you know, his little brother. You know, he was a great inspiration in my life. He is a modern, I would say that he is a modern inmate.
So he's a true disciple to reach people for Christ and to show them by example how life should be led, even though he's behind bars.
Most definitely, by thought, deeds, and action.
And then I met Andre when he first come here. He first come to Draper, and he was just a kid, and he was pretty rough then. And later on, he started going to school and stuff, and he's learning a lot of young guys to try to do right.
You have seen those changes, that he was a pretty rough kid, you said, when he came to Draper. But through the years, you saw him get involved in church and education and reaching out to other people. So what do you think of Andre Wallace at this point in time?
He's changed a lot. I think he needs a chance to be out. And I know he's going to stay out. He's got the Lord, and he's a Christian dude now.
That's what I've heard you say about Andre Wallace, is that if he got out because he knows Christ, you don't think he would ever commit another crime?
He's not going to commit no more crimes.
I've met a unique individual here at this camp that's helped me. He's a light in a dark place. I've been at this camp for 3.5 years, and when I got here I wasn't saved, but I was seeking. And the man's named Andre Wallace, and he's a true inspiration, especially to the young black men that come in prison that they've never had any direction. They don't know what hope is. They don't know what inner peace is, and they see it manifested in this man's life that's been so many years incarcerated, yet he's not bitter. He's not your typical person in prison that you would think that they're locked up, they're like animals, but I mean, Christ is just so real in his life, and he's such a light in a dark place that he is the fiber that holds a lot of this camp together, because of the young people that have no one to look up to, that fatherly figure that they've never known on the street. And Andre supplies a lot of that. I mean, he's stern at times, but he bends. I mean, but he stands boldly for Christ and the things that Christ would have us to do. His Christ characteristics are being established in him every day. And it's, anytime I've learned, anytime you find somebody that's a Christian, then the first thing you ought to notice about them is the love in them. And if they have love, then they have compassion. And that's what Andre has, that's a true blessing for a man in prison, is he has compassion towards other people, not wanting to see them go through the things that he's been through.
So, lots of times, the things that he said and spoke of to me, it really sucked in, because this was a man that had did, at the time, I think he had did like 19 or 20 years when I first met him. But you could see that pain and that pressure in his face, that God allowed me to see. And I can only wonder if I would have to do that long. Not saying that I had that much time, but the thing was of saying that, knowing that the time that I have, if I didn't try to get myself together, that I would do all this time. And up until my 5th time going in the SAP program, I had got my GED. So he was like, you got to take the next step. You got to go ahead and enroll in college. So I took that approach. But everything I was doing, I was like, I really had felt like, this was my dad, because, people would say that I looked like him or he looked like me. So, I actually felt like I had found like a father figure or a big brother. Even when I had left Bullock and returned to Draper, all I could think about was Andre. And, because, I was wishing that I could just hear some of the words that he was saying to try to continue to get myself together. The drive that he wanted us being young black males, and knowing that the things that he has learned in his incarceration, that if we didn't take heed to the things that were being put out before us, that we would be like some of the guys that walk around, even though they have did a lot of time, but they were very, very still ignorant. They wasn't ready to go back out there in society. The thing that he has shown to me, it's about trying to have a good character and trying to be a man.
He's been a motivation towards me doing right and wanting to do right, for as an example, like a bigger brother or, even a father figure, he's always assisting me for as doing positive things and giving me that extra energy that I need, When you might wake up and have a bad day, and he sleep 2 beds down from me, so I deal with him every day, And I love dealing with him, and the love that I acquired from being around him, being the person that he is, You can't help but prosper being around him.
Andre Wallace has been a big inspiration to me. I knew Andre when he wasn't saved, and to see the change in his life, it's inspired me to try to live right and do the right thing.
So if Andre goes out, do you think he'll take Christ with him sincerely and not come back?
There's no doubt in my mind. There's no doubt in my mind. He's a guy that I feel like should have gone long ago. Maybe he should have went before I went the first time. because he's made some dramatic changes in his life. As I said before, I knew Andre before Cross, and I know him now. Many years ago, Andre and I were in a rock and roll band at this institution, and we smoked a lot of dope. We had various disagreements, and at times it even came to violence. But seeing him now, as opposed to then, I see when there's some type of conflict among inmates in the camp, and he's around, he steps in to try to smooth things over. He's not a guy that talks to life, he walks it. So that's a big difference as opposed to a guy that would create a problem. He's more of a problem solver today.
You know, he changed my whole life around, you know, because I was heading the wrong route at the time. And hey, I'm doing all right now. I haven't been in trouble since. You know, I hadn't had a problem with no one, really.
If Andre were released from prison, what do you think Andre would do?
Well, get his life together.
Okay.
Get his life together.
Do you think he'd go out and commit another crime?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
And you smile when you say that. You just can't envision Andre going out and committing a crime.
No, ma'am.
Why do you say that?
Because he's a good person.
You think that if Andre goes out of this prison with Christ in his heart, that he would ever commit another crime to come back?
No, man, I don't think he ever made a crime again ever, because he got a lot of love in his heart, a lot of concern about other people's, and he had Jesus Christ in his life.
So if the parole board were to be hearing a hearing for Andre Wallace, would you say that they should consider him for release or not?
Definitely, yes.
And you smile when you say that. Why do you think the parole board should release Andre Wallace?
Well, I've known Andre for about 10 months. And he's an exceptional guy. His heart is in what he do. And he has a profound impact on anybody he come in contact with. And the things that he does in the institution, he deals with the people that don't nobody else want to deal with. You know, the gangbangers and the homosexuals, and because these people need to be loved too.
I think he should be paroled because he's a good person. You know, everybody changes. You know, he's a God-feared man.
Andre the type of fella that if it was a war going on for righteousness, I would vote for him to be the leader.
So if the parole board were to consider Andre Wallace for release, what would your recommendation to the parole board be?
Let him go.
My brother Andre Wallace, I've been knowing him ever since '84, and I've seen his walk with God, and I also been in a tour thing like reading classes with him, and he have a lot of patience with younger guys. He's just an inspiration to me, and I just thank God for him, that he's not talking the talk, but he's walking the walk, and that's what I want to see, a walk, not just so much a talk.
Met this person, Andre, and I used to watch Andre a lot when I first got here at this camp a couple of years ago, and he used to do, I just like how he deal with the young people, and he got a gift that God then gave him dealing with young people, little gang members. You know, they listen to him, and they respect him, and he always got a good, loving, kind voice from him.
Being around con artists will teach you to know when you're being conned, okay? It's not easy to fool a correctional officer. We know when we are being conned and when we aren't.
And I feel like he'll be a big impact on the guys out there in society, the youth in society today.
There are those individuals who do make a change, do live by that moral code, and in those cases, it seems to work. I've watched it many times. Those of us that live in here, we see their walk. We see whether or not they are what they say they are. Wardens can't see it. Officers can't see it. 8 hours a day does not allow you to see that person when they're under pressure, when things have gone bad and they're confronted with a situation. That's when the fire's on, when that person is being tested by that fire. That's when you see whether they're real or not. If I've known a person over these 16 years, a person who appears to have changed for the positive, Dre is one of them. All right, thinking about it, I mean, I had not really thought about it before coming in here, but I've never seen Dre lose his cool. I've never seen him get angry, to be honest. Thinking back about it, I've never seen him lose that cool.
I've noticed over my career that some inmates had the tendency to act one way when they notice someone is looking and another way when someone is not looking. I find it to be the best way to observe an inmate is to pay attention to him when he's not aware that you are observing him. That way I feel that you can get a true picture of the guy or the inmate. One inmate in particular I've observed over the years is Andre Wallace. Andre Wallace had been one of the meanest inmates that ever came through the system, but I had the opportunity to see him change. He had become one of the better inmates, or he's instrumental in keeping peace in the institution. He's always willing to help the younger inmates. When he came into the system, I don't even think he had a high school diploma, and he have continued. He graduated from college, or he continued to teach classes. He's a mentor to the young inmates. When they have a problem, they go to Andre and look up to him. When he tells them something, normally they will listen. So he's very instrumental in keeping peace in the institution, helping these young guys learn how to read and write.
That time he had made like about 15 of us, all the young guys that were around the camp that he just kick it with every day. He had made us sign up for the program and take anger management, stress management, SAP, sign up for your GED, and he made us all go down. He was the one coming around telling everybody, man, you need to go down there and get your test score. I feel like if he could be that positive in the system, he could move mountains in the street.
And my supervisor told me, he said, well, basically what you see is what you get. And when I asked exactly what he meant by that, he said, well, you know, Andre is an old-timer, as we like to call him, an old-timer. He said he's been around for a long time, but he's made a big change. In the past 3 years, Andre has been, what we would call a model inmate. He is actually an inspiration because he's a leader.
You know, a lot of people say a lot of things, but I feel as though the greatest testimony a man can give is his actions. And I didn't just scrutinize the word that the brother spoke. I watched his action in the life that he lived, and it said a whole great deal to me, you know, that I don't have to accept what's really going on around me. I can be me regardless of what everybody else is doing.
I've been knowing Andre Wallace for approximately 16 years. I have really noticed a tremendous change in him in that time. When I first saw him, he used to get upset, and it was an attitude for his retaliation. Now, today, when I see him, he have a tremendous edge in how he can walk away from situations like that.
He's a good leader. He's a good role model for a lot of us, young and old, especially me. And I've been locked up 20 years.
And I believe if he was released to our communities, that he would be a tremendous asset to a lot of young men and women who are on the verge of getting into the system of crime and violence.
If there was any inmate that I would recommend at any time to give an opportunity to go back into society, it would be Andre Wallace, because I feel like he has a strong support system. He has demonstrated, even when he's not aware that I'm observing him, some of the things you would expect in a citizen.
When a man do wrong, he ought to be punished for it. The word of God speak on it, but I feel as though that he's done what he need to do. I feel as though he paid his debt to society. You know, I feel as every man deserves a second chance, you know.
You see Andre in the morning, in the afternoon, Monday through Sunday, he's the same person. He doesn't change. Now, Andre has done quite a bit of time, and there's one thing that I can say for him. He has changed 360 degrees from what I have read and the things that I've heard about. And if I didn't believe these things to be true, I wouldn't say them.
If I had to pick one person in this whole department that I feel would be a success once he get out of prison, I would have to say Andre, because of the tremendous changes that I have seen in him in my 16 years being here and working around him.
Honestly, my concern is somewhat selfish in that I've watched him do all of the right things over many, many years, and then I keep waiting to see, okay, what's the end result? This guy's been through every program they've got. He hadn't had a disciplinary in 20 years or something. He has helped people every way he can. He's worked in all of the various primary areas of the institutions. He's worked as aides to teachers, in administrative positions. And yet, he's not getting out. It scares me because it reduces hope. I say, look, if this guy can't make it, who are they going to let out?